Chinese China plane iron. Well, can I actually get an edge on this thing? Now let's take it over to where we're going to be putting an edge on this plane iron. Hopefully we can get a good edge on it. You know, might be more, luck than judgment, but we'll see. We'll see how it pans out, shall we? Now over here, I have a selection of tools that we can use to, put an edge on this plane iron. Now, the reason why I got this plane iron, and it happened to be a Chinese plane iron, is because I need a new plane iron. That one, which is the original plane iron that was in this Stanley Bailey No. 5 hand plane, which is worse for wear now, because as you can see, it's rather flippin' short. Yeah, okay, that's how long it should be, and now that was that long, so that's no good. So anyway, we've got this new one, and you just saw me on the linisher squaring it up, because when I put my square on there like so, it wasn't square. It wasn't square at all. It was all over the place, and also it wasn't even in line. I don't know how they even managed to do that. The problem with a lot of this Chinese stuff, they can't even get the basic stuff right. No. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here in a minute. I'm going to bring it on to another tripod, which happens to be here, and we'll try and keep you nice and close. But what I have done is I've actually ground that primary bevel. Not the micro grind, it's not going to be the sharpened edge. No, it's literally the actual primary bevel. Now, generally, it should be around 25 degrees. That's the other thing they got wrong. That was 22 degrees. That's way too shallow for a plane iron like this. Now, I think it's probably high-speed steel. It feels fairly hard, but can I actually get an edge on it? Usable for a plane, a hand plane. Now, the make on here says Shen2. Shen2. I haven't got a clue what that means, or whether it is, or what it is. Anyway, it's a Chinese one. I bought it on Amazon. It cost the measly sum of €8. So it was cheap as chips, and it came the following day. Well, we're going to be sharpening this plane iron using... Well, I'm going to show you various methods, actually. One is using oil stones, and another one's using diamond sharpeners. None of this kit is expensive. These diamond sharpeners are just... they're just bog standard. They're not DMTs or anything like that. They're just really cheap, generic sharpeners you find on, Amazon, eBay, and Temu. You know, that app. That's the spinny round thing that's just trying to entice you to buy stuff you don't need. In fact, that could get banned in the EU very soon. So, what we're going to do is, we're going to sharpen it up, and I'm going to use a variety of different methods. Because I appreciate that not everybody has the gear. I've got quite a bit of equipment in there, to be fair. But, I always use these diamond sharpeners, and they're really, really cheap. I do have a system over there that I use on the back there, which is a carriage system, which is spot on. I use that for my Stanley Bailey's number 6 and 7, which are equipped with the Victor hand-forged plane irons. And those things are awesome. I'm just hoping that this plane iron is going to be awesome too. If it is, I'd be so surprised, to be honest. I really will. Yeah, but proof's in the pudding, isn't it? So first things first. First things first, I've already done it. I've ground the primary bevel. I worked it out using a digital angle finder. That's the easiest way to do it, but you don't have to use one of them. You can use a protractor or anything, or you can just use one of these little, like this little guide thing I got here, to work out your primary bevel. But is it that critical? No, if you go too shallow, you'll find that you'll make your edge fragile. But if you go too steep, obviously it's going to have to work a lot harder. But either way, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference to most people. Now, the thing is, you see, we read all these things, we watch these YouTubers and stuff like that, and it's all a bit pedantic, You don't. If it's sharp and it creates shavings that are nice and curly, well, then it's doing its job, isn't it? Why do we need to worry about half this stuff? Why do we need to worry that much? Waterstones and all that sort of stuff. You've got to keep them soaking. It's palaver. We didn't used to bother all that stuff. We just used to have, most people just have an oil stone, like one of these India stones. That one there, for instance, in their toolkit, in a wooden box. And that's all we used to have, And we used to create long, silky shavings, So, I think we need to move away from that sort of thing, and we need to encourage people to actually enter not into the trade, but the hobby even. Make stuff for ourselves, do stuff therapeutic, it's great for the mind, body and soul. Not necessarily my body, because it's kind of my body shop. But anyway, I'm too far gone. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to flatten the back of the plane iron. Now this plane iron, if you look at it, you can see the machine marks, which effectively are circular machine marks. They basically, if they enter the plane iron there and they leave there, like rings on a tree. So if a tree been cut down, you can see all the rings. It's kind of a little bit like that. So it's obviously been ground up against a big round disc. And it's a shit job. Sorry, but it is. It's very poorly made plane iron. So we do need to do extra work. But there again, it's cheap. It's a cheap plane iron, and it's 3mm thick. Now, traditional plane irons in Stanley Bailey's would be 2mm thick. I'm happy it's 3mm thick because it creates less chatter. So anyway, let's flatten the back first. And all I'm going to be using for that is a diamond whetstone, which is one that, well, basically it's a cheap as chips. It's not an expensive one. This one here, which happens to be a 2,500 grit diamond whetstone, and that cost measly sum about €6 on Temu. Yeah, okay, take 2 weeks to get it, or you might pay a tenner if you get it on Amazon or whatever, but still they're cheap. They don't last forever, but they work. They do the job. Now this one here has shown signs of a bit of damage on this one already, to be honest. These ones seem to be better. The ones that look like honeycomb. But that one's bigger. It's cheap chips. It's throwaway money, isn't it? Right. Now I've got my primary bevel. Okay. We have to do the secondary bevel, micro grind on there. But first of all, we're going to flatten the back. But before we start that, let's move the camera so we can get you nice and close. Always want to see my lovely face, do you? No? Okay. No, you do. Oh, saucy devil, you. Right. Okay, that's probably do there, right? Right. Now I've got a set here of 3 very cheap diamond sharpeners. I'm going to start off using this one here, which is 300 grit. It's probably a little bit less than that now, or a bit more than that now because it's worn. I'll probably do get new ones. And also I'll show you with the oil stones as well. Now I'm just using Windex like this. This is just Windoline type stuff. Well, I actually prefer using something like a like white spirit or something like that, because this doesn't rust your tools. I know people think I'm mad, but there you go. So I'm flat down, putting pressure on, backs and forwards like so. And what we want to do is flatten the back of the plane iron, because all those machine marks effectively will reflect in the edge, and then you're not going to get edge. All you get is like saw teeth. You get a lovely finish, wouldn't you? No, not at all. Imagine doing it, sort of periodically lift it up. All right, don't pull it off. Lift it up off the stone always, and just see how far we got. Because what I did is I actually marked this with a marker pen like so, and then you can see how far you got to go. You see, there's marks there still, and still marks on that corner. It's making contact there and there. Now, you haven't got to do all of it. You only need to do 1/4 inch, at 6mm on this edge. That's the only bit that's important. That bit doesn't matter. You'll do that later when you carry on sharpening in the future. So don't get too worried. Just do the area that needs it. If you manage to get the full width near where the edge is going to be, you flattened it enough. But obviously what's important is that your stones are flat. Now these are flat. I have checked them already. So I've still got low there, so I've just got to keep taking that, polishing it off here until that low there, whereas, well, you can still see the machine marks, has disappeared. Da 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 da. It's going, it's disappearing, slowly but surely. More Windex. Now, some people say use sandpaper. You can use like a wet and dry sort of type paper, silicon carbide sanding paper. It's a bit like the wet and dry stuff you use to work on cars with and stuff. And then you have a plate, like a machine, something that's perfectly flat, could be marble, could be glass, could be anything. And you actually have your sanding paper stuck to that, and you can use that. It does work, but I'll be actually honest with you. By the time you've paid out on all those sheets of sandpaper, you might as well got you some diamond stones. So, I mean, there's no saving. Doesn't make any sense. They've really over machined that corner, so it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. You know, they just can't seem to get the basic stuff right. But it was cheap, and it's a 3mm thick plane iron. I did have to adapt it slightly so it'd work in the plane. I had to do is lengthen this slot, because that slot was too short. And also, what else did I have to do to it? I can't know. I had to lengthen that slot. What else was there? Was something else I had to do to it? I can't remember what it was. I thought it'd actually go in. The mouth of the actual hand plane itself. Because the thickness, extra thickness of the plane iron wouldn't actually protrude through the mouth of the plane body. The bit where the blade comes out under the sole. You can't have those machining marks on your edge. If you try and put a micro bevel on there, they will be in your cutting edge, which means you won't create a smooth shaving. You'll have a rough shaving, like a serrated shaving. There's a burr there now, but it does feel fairly good steel. The steel itself feels okay. Let's just see how strong that bevel is. It's quite hard. I think it's quite hard still. Anyway, now when we put our micro bevel on our plane iron for the first time, we've got the same problem. We've got machine marks, obviously from the actual primary grind that I've put on there. The original primary grind was all over the place. It was awful, absolutely awful. It's not perfect now, you know what I mean, but it does look better than it was. So the actual angle here should be around 25 degrees. Okay, you can do that using a digital angle finder if you like, or get a protractor, or use one of these little gauges. They're not perfect, but they do work. You can print one off the internet if you like, and create a paper version, and then you can use that to create your, you may use a bevel or something like that, or you can create a wooden one. You know, just screwing two pieces of wood together at an angle, crossing over like that, and it gives you an idea what your primary bevel should be. It hasn't, it hasn't got to be too pedantic. So it should be 25 degrees, all right? That primary bit, 25 degrees. And then I'll put a micro bevel on between 26 and 28 degrees. And that's what I intend to do. Now, anyone who's starting out sharpening, I recommend you get one of these guides. This is a cheap one. This is just a cheap Chinese guide. This is come with a set of Draper chisels. So needless to say, yes, it was cheap. But it works. It's got a ball-raced sort of like thing here, little roller, which allows you to slide backwards and forwards. Now, if you set your stones, right, all I've done is, in this case, it's a piece of wood. I've got two more pieces of wood pinned or glued on the ends. Not pinned, but glued on the ends. And literally, they're flush with the stone itself. Now, the problem with any of these stones is that in time, what you'll do is you'll wear all the middle of the stone and not use the ends, which is a bit silly. So there's a couple of things you can do. Is create a guide like this, because then you can make use of all the stone, because effectively you can roll right to the back here, you see, and right to use the whole length. The other thing is, if you haven't got like that, and you're getting to the end there, but you can't get all the way back, just flip your stone around, and then you'll make use of both sides. Because you want to equally wear your stone, don't you? You don't want to be creating a hollow in the middle of your stones, especially with oil stones. It's more, these things are even more critical. But they're quite long. When you've been doing it long enough, you kind of get to know what you're doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this guide, because I think you should be thinking about getting one of these. If not, make one. I use a wooden one like this for my chisels. So effectively, all I do is I'll show you by grabbing a chisel, such as that one. It's a firmer chisel. It's got two big neodymium magnets in there, and now I can just like so. And it makes it a lot easier to maintain your angle for your chisels. Right. This is made for chisels of that angle, with that sort of like taper. Obviously, you know, if you've got a mortise chisel, you can have the taper's going to be more acute, which means you'll be at the wrong angle. So you need to make a variety of these for your different chisels. Not for one per chisel, but for, you know, for different range of chisels. And with the plain irons, you'd have a flat surface, or maybe you wouldn't have a double rebate, but you could basically use the same thing. You just got to watch your angles, that's all. I've allowed for the taper, you see. So that's one way to do it. You can make your own. These little neodymium magnets with a screw hole in the middle, they're really cheap. You can buy them online and buy packs of 10 for about €6 or £6, whatever it is. And then you're about to make 7 of them. And they're reusable. Obviously, you just put them, you know, move them from one to the next. But if you do have one of these guides, such as one of these, which you can buy for under a tenner, I recommend that you do. Now, I have a carriage system I use as well. But I don't use it on these. I use them on my high-S when they drop in. I'll show you the carriage. I've got a set of 3 stones set up over there, which allows me to use this carriage system that slides backwards and forwards. And these are set to every single plain iron that I have in my collection. So they're definitely worthwhile considering if you want to get really serious. And you can make it yourself. But you do need several stones, because I coarse, medium and super fine stones I have set up. And I use them in my Stanley Baddies with the Victor hand forged plain irons. But for most people, one of these will do the job. So, but what you have to make sure you do is set your angle for the actual, not just your primary grind, but for your actual micro bevel, which is what we're about to put on. So I've already done the primary grind on the linisher, which is basically a bevel chisel. Which is basically a bevel chisel. Got bevel chisel on my brain now. It's basically a belt sander. That's bench mount belt sander. So we've got to make sure set this to the flatness of this. Because this might not be level, you see. So you have to calibrate every time. So you've got to zero it. And it's usually about 0.5, 0.10, that's about right. So now what we're going to do is place that on there. If you can get hold of one of these are about €15, these things are. Probably the same in pounds, but they're definitely worth having, most definitely. Because now what we've got to do now is move that plain iron backwards and forwards, to and fro, until I get the angle that I want. Now at the moment I've got this ground to 25. Now 26.25, is that what I want to stick with? Possibly, you know. That might be my micro bevel, but sometimes people might want nearer 28 micro bevel. So that's 28.8, 28.7. So I'll push it out a bit more to reduce it. 27.5. If you go too fine on that, you know, angle, you're going to end up just having a weak edge. That's probably nearest, damn it, isn't it? 28. Oh god, 28.5. What's got 28.5? I want that. 29. Gone the wrong way. Need to push it out. Seven. Spot on. That'll do. Right, let's just tighten it up. Screwdriver there. Place it on top of here. I'm not going to rely on this to be flat because it's not. It's not going to be flat because it's flexed. It's quite thin steel with a rubber pad on the back. So I'm going to use this. Still put it on top of the block, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day that angle is set by whatever it's put onto, so it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is then basically sharpen that edge like so. So a bit of Windex again. Now you'll tell whether or not you're actually doing anything because the liquid you put on will change colour to that grey, metal-y colour, gunmetal colour. And it's literally just little tiny bits of metal filings. But you can see, I can't, because I haven't got them set this one set on the block, I can't go right at the back because I'll just fall off the end. I'll be at the wrong angle. So what I'll do is, I'm using all of the stone in both directions, like so. You know, that's the thing about when you're using these guides, you can't do the figure of 8 like you would do if it's freehand sharpening. Looks like it. Now, you can probably see already it's created a micro bevel on there. That stone is not flat. That's anything about some of this cheap stuff you get, it's not going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the oil stone, which happens to be har. I'm going to put a bit of oil on there because that's what you have. Use the fine. Put the way around. Upside down. I'm an idiot. And that stone's slightly wider than the diamond stones. I did have an accident once there. There's a bit of hollow there. You can see that where it's gone dark, it's a bit hollow to that point there. But it doesn't affect it because it's only in one place. If it was all the way along, that would have an impact, but it doesn't. See, okay, that is pretty much there. I can see that micro bevel's all the way along. It's flattened it off for me as well. Strange. Got a high there. Right. Okay. So I've got a micro bevel on the back. So micro bevel. I've got a burr on the back. So I'm running things across the back here. I've got this burr. That way, there's no burr. So what we're going to do is we have to get to the next stage. I'm happy at that now regarding the actual first stage there. Now you can leave it in the guide if you want in case you'll make a mistake. And you can actually use your oil stone or you can come to the diamond stone. And what you do is a couple of strokes just gently on the back here. You want to remove that wire edge. Like so. Some oil stones are too soft, so be careful. The bevel's gone, the burr's gone the opposite direction. So while it's still in the guide, I can think to myself, okay, I'll carry on. A little bit, don't need to be much. All I'm doing is removing that wire edge again. And then you push the wire edge the other way. You know, the burr's gone the other way again, so you can gently does it, because you want to keep that flat. And then if you want to do the Charlesworth method, where you a rule on there and you back polish it a little bit, just, you know, like so. What that does is it just allows, there's no influence in from the back of the actual plane iron. All the effort, all the work is right on that edge. Lift it off, don't try and drag off, lift it off at that stage. See all the work I just done there, right on the edge. I feel the burr on the other direction. You'll get to the stage where you need to do a bit of a stropping. Got to get stroppy with it. Now you can use a leather strop if you like. You can make one out of an old belt, an old leather belt will do the job. Or you can just do what I do. I don't recommend it, because you might have an injury. Right, I think I'm going to take it out of there. If you want to go a step further with it, down to 3000 grit, you could use one of these waterstones like so. It's diamond waterstone here. Diamond stone. This is 3000 grit, so it's very fine. I don't need to change the angle or anything like that because it's set exactly what it was on all the other stones. And you can just carry on like so if you want. Like I say, we can all get a bit pedantic, can't we? Never be tempted to drag it off the stone. Always lift it off. So always just do that. Don't go like that or like that or whatever. Just Be conscious of it and rock it back and lift it off. Obviously, you're just going to damage your edge that you just put on there. But all that time doing that work and you damage it. Which don't make any sense at all. So you can get diamond sharpeners right up to about 12,000 grit. And finding that really, you know. But then you get to the point of why? Why does it need to be that fine? It doesn't, does it? That, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to remove that out of this guide. And now we're going to strop it. We're going to get stroppy with it, we are. And hopefully it's going to have a nice sharp edge. And hopefully it lasts. Now that will be proof in the pudding. That will have to be a bit, you know, have a bit of time with this plane iron to see whether it's any good. Because it might sharpen up, but will the edge last? I'll have to watch another video for that one because I'm going to have to finish my fixing up this plane. That's what it's going into. That's the number 5 Stanley Bailey. Wartime effort with the Bakelite adjuster. Alright, so we're going to strop it. Yes, we're going to strop it with my hand. I don't recommend that you do this if you've got no experience doing it. And what I'm doing is I'm folding the burr, the wire edge one way, and then I'm folding it the other way. And then what happens, you get metal fatigue, and it'll just break off. Hopefully, it will be sharp. I think it will be. Ooh, yes, it is. So, that'll prove whether or not you get an edge on it. And obviously you can get a fine edge. If you do a bit more work, I'll get a finer edge if it bothers you that much. But if it actually planes wood, isn't that all you want? Oh, it's getting there, yeah. Bit more. Alright. There's other ways you can do this to remove the burr. Some people just literally grab a piece of wood, say for an argument's sake, and move upwards sideways, and effectively you'll peel the wire edge off. It's not as good. And the other thing you can do is get your strops if you want and get some paste. You can really polish them up. But if you're just trying to remove the wire edge, this works, this suffices. Or, you know, just use an old belt or something like that. I'll tell you what works really well is a piece of old leather, like a bit of old belt, or glued onto a block of wood. That works well. I'll tell you something. It's like ferret bait, isn't it, you know? Something about getting an edge on something. You know? And I think that's pretty sharp. Let's have a look. Telltale sign. Will it shave me? Out comes my hairy chest! No, I'm not going to do that, don't worry. I would say yes, if to the point of actually taking the skin off. If that isn't sharp enough for most people, I don't know what is. Oh, I might have to do the rest of my body. Huh? Is that sharp enough or not? I've got a bald hand! Let's just change that there. You see it now, look. Oh, look at all that. And that is a Chinese plain iron that I bought via Amazon. I have cut my skin a little bit. That I bought via Amazon. Probably from the same factory as a lot of those. You do need to do some work to it. In fact, this one still needs a bit more work. But who needs sharper than actually being able to shave? Really? Do we? Really? I don't think so. I think it's all a bit silly. That I do. Let's find a bit of wood just so I can do a little bit of whittling with it. Because otherwise, you don't ever cut wood yet. You know it shaves. It cuts my skin. But does it actually shave wood? I can't put it in the plane because the plane's not ready. But I would say it does. Quite happily. Very, very sharp indeed, in fact. Yeah, I'm cutting towards myself, I know. Yeah. That looks pretty good to me. I think that's sharp enough. Don't you? Maybe. Or do I go a bit more, how to put it, a bit crazy with it? Maybe I'll do that as well. But that'll be for later on, because I need to get on. So, anyway, can you get an edge on a Chinese plain iron from scratch, straight out of the factory, although it's travelled to my house and then into my workshop? Yes. And I would say yes. At the moment, it feels flippin' sharp. And time will tell whether or not we can maintain that edge. at the moment, after a bit of TLC, after a bit of work, I'd say, yes, I'd say it's worth €8, definitely. It's a good bit of steel, I think. Anyway, it's time for me to go, so I say toodaloo, you know. But please boot the like button and maybe subscribe, and please share my videos. And there's lots of shorts on here as well. Plus, we need to get to 25 subscribers by the 25th of December, because it's Christmas. And that'd be a lovely Christmas present, it would. So, anyway, please boot the like button and maybe subscribe, because then it does it helps the channel, you know. And I need all the help I can get, you know. Yeah, in more ways than one. Anyway, and what am I doing? Try to make the video even longer, am I? Oh, crikey. Toodaloo!